Hi, my name is Daniel. This is my partner Omar. Welcome to our show where we explore the fight and fighters. Now, it's not just about what happens in the ring or in the cage, but the emotional, the spiritual, and the psychological fights that we encounter in our lives.
We interview fighters with the hope to be inspired by the journey and motivate us to double down on our commitments to better our lives. If you have a fight in you or just love a good story, then welcome to our show. Today we have Mansa Miles, who will be talking to us a little bit about his journey and his fight. Welcome, Mansa Miles. How you doing today, brother?
How we doing? How we doing? I'm feeling great. It's a blessing to be here. I woke up this morning, so I can't complain.
That's right. That's right. Well, we thank you for being with us today. We're excited to dig deep and, dig deep like all fighters dig deep and to explore your journey and your fight today. Yeah, man, let's get into it.
So how'd you come up with the name? Like, what does the name mean?
So Mansa, I came up with Mansa because Mansa is actually the first name of Mansa Khan Musa. He was a ruler. He's the richest, most wealthiest man on earth that ever lived, and he was an African American. He was an African, and he took over 26 territories, and he took over so many territories that they gave him the nickname Lion of Milo. And I was just I was trying to figure out what my fighter name was gonna be, and I kind of came across him, and I'm a Leo as well, so when I seen Lion. And then when I seen that he took over 26 territories and that meant power, and I feel like I got power. So I just came up with it. And I was like, you know what? Kevin Mansa Miles. I felt like it go.
Man, that's a whole lot of wisdom. So how old are you? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, because I didn't even know that, right? So I feel like I'm being educated right now.
I just turned 22 August 3rd.
That's incredible.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting because your name has so much meaning and significance, just like the legacy that your name carries, right? And you're bringing that, and you're almost like you're reincarnating this individual that was so important to Black folks and African folks, right? To that culture and that history. But we also, so Daniel and I we were talking a little bit about this offline, that on Street Beefs, right? You were known as Monster Mouse. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about being called Monster Mouse when you took so much time to really think about this name with so much significance to be then called Monster Mouse? How did that feel to you when you heard that?
It was actually quite funny. It was funny because the referee called it, and some people caught it. Some people kind of heard what I said, and then when the announcer said it, it was kind of like that's not his name. But mass majority heard Monster Mouse, so I kind of was gonna run with it. But I don't know. Like I did put a lot of time in thinking about Monster. So really, my goal now is to get people to know that I'm Mansa, and not Monster Mouse. Monster Mouse. It's just to get people to understand, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that next fight. I'm gonna get people to know who I am just by coming out and trying to dominate the best way I can.
Word. And your first event was at the West Coast event, right? Is that the first time you got in the ring for Street Beefs?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean, what was that experience like?
Oh man. Before or after?
Before.
Before getting into the street beefs, I was kind of nervous, but I was ready. I was ready because I've been training for a year. I've been training self-training for a year, and I just had to ask myself, am I ready? Is this what I'm ready for? Is this what I really want to do? Because I put so much time and effort in here. I literally work out every day. I even lost 50 pounds doing this. So, this is something that I put my heart in, I put my sweat in, I put everything in. So going into this event, it was really just to see where I'm at, and when I got in it, getting into it, it was interesting because, it was definitely my first one. So it was like me mostly trying to figure out how comfortable I can get, or how comfortable, how good I can be at that moment. And after the event, I was kind of upset about it because it didn't go my way. But after, you know, talking to you and talking to Chris and Jonathan, I started to look at the event more as a humbling event because, you know, it was my first event. And I feel like I kind of know what I have to do better. And I've been working on it. The other day, I actually went out to Palmdale to get a couple of runs in by my cousin's house. He has like a little, I'm not going to say, a little desert area by his house. So I went out there and I got a chance to run around like 2-3 times. And so that's just for stamina purposes. But going after the event, it was very humbling, you know. It was probably one of the best things I ever did so thus far because I got to get in there. I got to get hit. I got to hit people. So it was definitely a fun event. And it was all out of love.
Word, that's awesome, man. I mean, I think a lot of people, if they were to lose, I think on any platform, whether that's playing a basketball game in any sport, I think folks have a really difficult time seeing the loss as an opportunity for learning, because it does force you to grow up, right? It forces you to wrestle with some of your weaknesses, some of the flaws that showed up. And fighting is one of those things that certainly magnifies those things, right? It confronts you. It makes you confront yourself in a lot of ways, right? It makes you see yourself more than you normally would have if you did not put yourself on the line. And so that's awesome. I'm glad you were able to see it that way. But go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, no, I mean, so we're learning a little bit about you, right? We want to know more about what sort of drives you to fight, right? And both inside and outside of the ring or cage, right? And so I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about where you come from. Where did you grow up, and how has your community sort of impacted your way of fighting, right? Like how you fight, again, in and out of the ring.
Okay, so let me see how I'm gonna tie in why I fight to
so
how I grew up.
Yeah, and if you could just tell us what I know you shared on Streetbeefs that you're from South LA. So talk a little bit about South LA.
Yeah, so I grew up on the east side. I grew up in Watts, right across the street from Grape Street Elementary School. And that had a little significance in why I fight today because 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, I was bullied. You know, I got bullied all throughout my elementary school. So that kind of put a fire under me because unfortunately my dad, he was incarcerated. So he didn't have the chance to be there to kind of navigate me through being bullied and how to deal with bullies. So I was pretty much taking it for years. And when he got out, I changed on my own because I never really wanted my dad coming to pick me up from school from getting bullied. So when I got in middle school, I pretty much, that's kind of when I became a fighter, but in a negative way. That's when I kind of started fighting for the wrong reasons, just to kind of try to establish a name. So people would, like, if my name was brought up, it was more like, oh, don't fight him because, you know, that's an issue right there. But getting into high school, I decided to change on my own because, you know, I went to Washington. So I seen where fighting could lead, and I seen where doing other things could lead. So I kind of calmed down on my own. And fast forward to now, I pretty much fight because, you know, it feeds this hunger inside of me. Like, I don't necessarily know what it is, but every day I wake up, I'm gonna be honest, like, I wake up, I hit my push-ups, I get in here, I got my punching bag right here, you feel me, my gloves right here. It's just already set up for me. Like, I get up in the morning, I believe in stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. And once I try to, like, watch it once a week, but for everybody that's gonna see this, I definitely want to recommend everybody watch 52 Cards by Ray Lewis. That's another thing that get me pumped. Ray Lewis is one of the guys that that feeds my energy in anything that I do that has to do with athleticism. But that's pretty much the reason why I fight. You know, it's something in me. It's just something in me that burns. That when I get into the ring, when I got into Streetbeefs, and I was going against my opponent, it was it had nothing to do with my opponent. It had everything to do with me. It was just that burn that I'm just ready, you know. And it's just that feeling that I'll have against anybody. So I think that's the reason why I fight.
Are you still? Let me ask you a follow up. Are you still in Watts?
Nah, I'm not too far from Watts. I'm more like near Westmont.
Okay. Still in South LA.
Yeah, still in South LA. Still putting down for the city.
Let me ask this question though, because you brought up Ray Lewis, right? And what is it about Ray Lewis that inspired you?
The cards. I'm gonna be honest. The cards, that's something that I just started implementing into my workout. So you get a stack of cards and you just throw them down, and then whatever card you flip over, that's how many push-ups you do. But the thing that brings me towards him the most is his ideology around pain. You know, he says something that'll really sit with me. He said there's two forms of pain. One of those pains are you know, something that you can't build off of. It's I'm trying to think of the part exactly what he said, but it's two sorts of pain. It's the pain that keeps you up at night. It's the pain of hurt, sorrow, pain that you can't that you one day have to overcome, like the loss of somebody. But then there's this other pain, and it's the best kind of pain. It's the pain that when you go through that pain, that nothing but greatness and success is promised on the other side of that pain. But you have to go through it. You have to endure that pain in order to be great, in order to be successful. So Ray Lewis definitely is my idol when it comes to working out, when it comes to fighting, when it comes to anything. He gets me in that mind state.
So I'm super curious. You talk about pain, right? Right. You talk about, and it seems like almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that it's almost like Ray Lewis is also challenging us to identify what our pain is that is going to get us to that point of greatness. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what has been your biggest fight in life thus far, right? If you think about the pain that Ray Lewis talks about so far, what has been your biggest fight that you have had to push through?
Oh, man, I got a lot of biggest fights. I got a couple of wars.
But just give us one. Give us one.
Yeah, definitely. One that I have to say is probably my dad. My dad is definitely my biggest war because, you know, my dad, he passed away in February of 2016. And you know, it's still something that I deal with, but I'm able to channel that pain. You know, I like to channel that pain a lot because when I warm up and when I'm working out, I oftentimes think of my dad because I always think about what he would say or what he would think or how he would feel about me boxing now, you know, because my dad, he loved boxing. You know, he loved him some Marvin Hagler. He loved him some what's that dude name? Man, he fought Manny Pacquiao. Like, my dad was definitely into boxing, and the biggest fight is, you know, when I'm warming up, I like to close my eyes and imagine him there with me. And that's exactly also what I did when I fought. Just imagine he was in the crowd with me, and that's how I channeled that pain.
Yeah, it's deep, man. Yeah, I was listening to an interview with David Blaine, the musician, the guy who does a lot of magic, and he said what got him into doing that was seeing it as a child from his father. And so it's just interesting how fathers play a huge role in shaping their children, even when they're absent. Like, even when they're absent, like, their presence is still there with their young son. And me as a father, it makes me think of the ways that I want to make sure that I'm modeling something for my own son. And so I think you raised a really good point of the presence of the father, even the male presence of males in as a child. Like I think of all my heroes when I grew up without my dad. So just thinking about all the male figures in my life who shaped who I am. Like one of the reasons why it's like a war going outside in front of my building. But one of the reasons why I love boxing so much is because one of the male figures in my life was watching boxing. And not only that, one of the male boxers who I love, Tito Trinidad from Puerto Rico, like to me, he embodied the spirit. I'm just going to fight. He was climbing all these different weights, taking belts. And so he inspired me, like he inspired me and he helped me define an idea of what a fight looks like. And so I appreciate you sharing that because it does. I think it resonates on a deeper level, talking about how even in the midst of your father being incarcerated, but also the times you had to spend with him, he was so informative in the way that who you are today.
Yes.
Facts.
Yeah, man. And I think so both Daniel and I are fathers. I think we all have very similar and different, right, experiences with our fathers. But I think for two fathers, man, I think your dad will be really proud of you, man. And so, thank you for sharing that story. It sounds like that will continue to be a fire that's lit up in you. That's going to continue to help you push through that pain. And, we all have people in our lives that continue to push us. And I know that you mentioned that it was your sister's birthday recently. Yeah. So are there other people in your life right now that who are the people in your life right now that hold you down?
One person that's been in my corner since day one, since I started sparring, has definitely been my boy Kai. Cause Kai, he's an upcoming MMA fighter. So I do remember our first time. I will never forget our first conversation, how we kicked all of this off. We were on 83rd and Central, my old apartment. It was dawn. It was around 7 o'clock. We were outside. And he just brought it up. He was like, this is a dream of mine. MMA is something that I always wanted to do. And I was sitting right by him, 5'6", 225 pounds, overweight, clinically obese. And as he said that to me, I looked at myself. And I looked at every dream I ever had that involved physical activity. And I looked at myself and I was like, if I wanted to if I had the chance to accomplish my dream right now, I couldn't do it because I'm not prepared. So I told him, I was like, you know what? You want to be an MMA fighter? I want to get back in shape. How about this? Tomorrow, no excuses. Let's start our journey. And the very next day, we started. I started intermittent fasting. We both started a little diet. We started training every day. 2 months go by. Next thing you know, I lost. How much did I lose? I think I lost 25 pounds the first 2 months, and I started looking okay, and then I was like, you know what? Like boxing is nice. Like I'm losing a lot of weight here, like because at first I didn't want to be a boxer. Like when I first started this off, it was just for the weight loss because I was cutting, and then I was like, you know what? Boxing is kind of fun. Like I'm losing a lot of weight here. So I started to getting it more and more and more. And the next thing you know, the conversation then switched from, hey, boxing is fun to, I might do boxing. I'm gonna go ahead and be honest with you, man. Like this might be my life. And about 7 months in, that's when I then knew, like, this is something that I'm finna start doing. So definitely Kai, he played a big part on where I'm at today with this sparring and fighting and training and boxing. Really about him because he was the one who got me up on my feet and doing it.
Well, shout out to him. Way to push you, to hold you accountable to your true self or the person who you want to become. So that's awesome, man. I think we all need like corner people, right? Folks to help you stay focused in all the fights that we're all in on a daily basis. So that's awesome, man. Congrats to that man. And so I would love to ask, like, so what does the future look like? Is it you continue to fight in Street Beefs, or trying to take this professional, or just trying to have something to have this as something that continues to motivate you every day?
So, this is a tough question to answer based off of what you had said prior. But my goal, I'm gonna try to answer this going around, going around it. But my goal right now is to go to Street Beefs and to prove myself to me. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go to Street Beefs and I want to prove myself to me. And then when I'm done proving myself to me, then I definitely want to go and take this on a serious stage, and I want to go professional with it, you know. But right now I'm a firm believer in leaving no stones unturned. So I definitely have to prove some stuff to myself before I can even consider myself a pro, or consider myself going pro. But that's definitely on the list. You know, I'm hungry. Like this is how I want to eat every night. You feel me? So if I want to eat every night doing this, I got to make sure that I'm physically able and I'm ready and I'm mentally able to get in there and prove that I can eat every night doing this. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my goal.
What, Mansa Miles, I'm wondering, what do you think is going to take for you to get to be a pro?
It's going to take, that's a real good question. What is it going to take? Because I got the mind state already. You know, mentally, I'm already a professional. I've been doing this every day. I get up every day like a professional. I come in my living room and I punch on a punching bag like a professional. I train like a professional. I think like a professional. So mentally, I'm already. It's gonna take me getting noticed a little bit more. It's gonna take me understanding the game a lot more. You know, I'm a student. I'm a student first, and like I said, I'm very new to this. I just started. I've been doing this for a year, so I know it's guys that have been doing this for 10, 20 plus years, and that are just now are amateurs. So I got to go in there with that mind state. You know, you gotta be ready. You gotta get right. You gotta learn the game first. You gotta be an expert of the game mentally before you can be an expert of the game physically. So that's my goal.
That's awesome because that speaks to like the long-term goal, right? I think oftentimes we're so blinded by the short term. We're like, okay, if we don't get it in like 3 months, if we don't turn professional this month, or if we don't achieve our goal within a certain amount of time, we lose focus, right? When we don't get it, we get discouraged and we stop going after it. And I think it's always important, like you mentioned, is to have the long-term vision on things, right? So it's like, hey, it's going to take me a lot longer than what I anticipated, but I'm going to get there though. Right? With this persistence, I'm going to continue to be committed to my goals until I get there. So that's awesome. Thank you for certainly sharing that gem.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, Kev, what will success look like for you? At the end of this fight.
I hear that question.
At the end of this fight, if you're successful, what would that look like?
Hey, shout out to Jeff Hines. I thought of him immediately when you said that question. But what success look like for me, man? Success for me, it looks like me being able to eat off this sport. You know, definitely that because I want to do this for a while, and I wanna also be mentally like right for this. You feel me? Like I want to be mentally there. Like I want to learn everything. Like I want to be able to know just off rip, like how to move, I want to have like a playbook. I want to have like a gang of ways to be able to beat a plethora of opponents. Because right now, when I go into fights, I go into the fight automatically thinking, you know, jab, cross, move. You know, that's my idea. But like, no, like that, like, I want to, like, what I've learned is you have to have, you got to have 3 ways to beat an opponent. You got to have your 3 ways just on how you can beat your opponent, not how they're coming, because however they come them 3 ways might not be the way that you can beat that opponent. So when you're not able to beat that opponent in your 3 ways, you got to be able to change up. You got to be able to change your game plan. So I want to have a plethora of game plans. I don't want to just have one. And that one is just get in there, try not to get hit as much as you're hitting him, and just move your head. That's all I had going into that, and going into Street Beefs. And definitely doing that, it humbled me, because now it's like, you know, I can't have that kind of mind state. I gotta have plethoras. So that's what success looked like for me.
Well, we appreciate the time, brother. We certainly do. Thank you for sharing. Do you have any last words that you would like to part to those who are viewing?
You know, shout out to everybody that's been supporting me through this journey, because this is a journey at the end of the day for me. This isn't just a job. This isn't just a career. This isn't just a passion. This is a journey, you know. And so definitely I want to thank everybody that's supporting me through this journey. Thank you, man, Daniel. Thank you big time for even setting up Streetbeefs, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even have been able to go to the Streetbeefs event, and that's the whole 9 yards. Setting it up, that's introducing me to your brothers, Jonathan and Chris, and them getting me there and getting me back, and them supporting me. Chris and Jonathan being my corner man, giving me good advice. Like, yo, like when I say that was exactly what I needed. I've never had that kind of setup before, and you were able to get that for me. You were able to have the resources. So huge thank you to you. Omar, thank you for the questions. Thank you for the support as well. Thank you for asking me the questions that you was asking me. You picked my mind and you made me think. So definitely a big thanks to both of you guys.
Well, we appreciate the time. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you were able to gather some gems that you can apply to your life. If you like what you heard, like what you saw, please subscribe to our channel, donate some pocket change to our Patreon page. Until then, dig deep and double down and make those commitments to yourself.
Yeah.